Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for To Your Eternity, chapter 149. When we last left our heroes, Hyro returned to the house telling Gugu and Messar that Fushi's kind of run off. So Gugu and the horse go out to find Fushi. They find him pretending to be Gugu, getting in a big fight with some people, trying to find out how Gugu lives. And Gugu tells him about when he woke up in Taknaha, back at the start of the present era. How he met this boy who was a descendant of Sheen, who has helped keep the Boozman house running for the past several centuries. We then see that there's this festival all in Gugu's honor, but Gugu says he's not going to go back to Taknaha because Fushi needs him and he's going to be there for his brother, and it was so sweet, and I was a mess. And yeah, let's jump right on into chapter 149, The Path, part 1. We open outside, I think, the school. Yeah, we see, the classroom. Morning. This is, regular passerby talking. Hey, I'm tired. We see Funa come in, readjusting to her revival. Morning. Oh, morning. And the teacher comes in. Take your seats. Rise. Bow. And then the teacher says, the only one absent today is Mizuha with her cold, huh? Does she have a cold, or is that some guardian drama going on? I don't know. I'm suspicious that Mizuha is the only one absent with her colds. That feels a little sketchy to me. And then he points out Fushi. Oh, that a boy, Fushi. You actually showed up today. That is just, not a good way to address that subject. I'm sorry. Don't just say, you actually showed up today. That's kind of mocking. See me after school. You're going to take the test from the other day. But yeah, Anyway, Fushi's back. He's back in school, kind of retrying this whole living a normal life thing, seemingly without any motives. Because last time he was here, it was all part of that Funa ploy, and he might not have even been here as himself at all. He might have just been here as Funa. I don't quite remember. Either way, Fushi comes to the library. It looks like, where Tonari is just kind of chillin', reading some kind of book. Fushi walks up to her. Tonari, Gugu might go back to Taknaha, and Hyro said he'll leave eventually. Are you going to leave too? Fushi, this is not a healthy way of handling this problem. I'm sorry, boy. This is about the worst possible way you could handle this. Putting her on the spot like that is just... I mean, both how he's handling Gugu and Hyro, the idea that they could separate being this big horror and not a natural part of growing up. But anyway, all tying into our themes of Fushi needs to grow up this arc. Are you going to leave too? Tonari just kind of looks at him. I haven't thought about anything like that yet. And Fushi smiles there. But I want to point out attention to that line yet. Because importantly, Gugu and Hyro are both high schoolers. Tonari is still a middle schooler. And even if she kind of has that 50 years of experience, going back to what the Beholder said way back when, I think when Pyoran died, that the body kind of determines the shape of the soul. I think that as Tonari is sort of acclimated back to being 14, she's kind of gone back mentally to being 14. That might have actually been brought up before, but I don't quite remember. Anyway, Fushi's happy to hear that Tonari has no plans on leaving, and he sits down. You studying? No, I'm just reading for fun. I like this place. There's plenty of books. I might leave if I find something interesting. And Fushi, panics there. He's got this huge case of, separation anxiety. And Tonari kind of notes that. And Fushi kind of turns away a little embarrassed. And Fushi kind of explains, it looked like everyone was having trouble just living. If I had made this a more attractive place, no one would think about leaving, would they? Tonari laughs. Maybe you're right. Is that why you look so down? I mean, he's completely wrong. Again, they're growing up, and he's just not really accepting that. No matter how perfect a paradise you turn this place into, you're not gonna get rid of people's pain and doubts, because we're human. Finally, Tonari just gives him the talking to he's needed this whole time. Gugu did not quite deliver like he maybe could have, but Tonari got to be the one just sort of set him straight. And I think, I talked about the soul and the body and all that, but Tonari probably still has her memories of 50 plus years, plus however long she lived post Renril. She's kind of has more life experience than Gugu, which kind of explains why, despite the fact that she's physically younger than him, she's the one who's sort of able to give Fushi the advice that he desperately needs. Anyway, Tonari goes on, but you want a world without suffering, like the Knockers, huh? Oh. She's like drawing out a connection between Fushi and the Knockers, and Fushi gets on to her, hey, don't lump me in with them. I'm just saying that you can live without suffering, so wouldn't that be better? I only want to make everyone's dreams come true, but instead, and Tonari cuts him off, they'll come true without your help. Pain and anxiety always find those chasing their dreams. Your dream is to grant all ours, right? And that's why you look so pained. See? We're all the same as you. Again, Tonari is just giving Fushi the message he's needed this whole time, which is very nice to see. And then Tonari goes on, even I, after you gave me this young body, found some things to worry about because of it. Quite a dilemma, isn't it? And Fushi looks at her, could I help with what's bothering you? What's bothering her is that she's kind of regrown this crush on Fushi, right? I'm not misremembering that or misinterpreting things. I think I'm right there. But Tonari sort of sits up for a sec and then closes her book and laughs. Yeah, maybe you could, but I'm not going to tell you. This problem is mine alone. So important that I want to keep it to myself. Your third life goes fast. The days just fly by. Right? Most of them kind of have lived 3 lives at this point. But she puts her book up. I'm sure the same goes for the others. They're looking for their own lives. And Fushi kind of counters, yeah, but they don't have to rush it. I can keep you living forever. Going back to that conversation he had with Tonari way back when. And Tonari presses, have you ever taken an interest in everyone's lives? Have you thought about how they felt when they died before? Or how they're going to live from now on? And Fushi kind of looks at her, I have. You have? Well, good. And we see Fushi, we then get to Fushi writing in a question mark, which we see later as part of the test that he just doesn't have any idea what to do with. Whether it's based on like modern history or math or something that he's just never worked on before, I don't really know. But that also kind of feels like we should be questioning Fushi's assertion that he has thought about how everyone will live from now on, in ways beyond just, they'll live with me, of course. Anyway, Fushi kind of walks back home in a daze, and he comes back to he walks by Hiro's bakery, and Hiro's trying to work with one arm in a sling, and he drops whatever he's carrying. Oops! And the boss tells him, see, I told you not to work with one arm. I'm sorry. And Fushi walks on by, seeing kind of a bit of discontent in Hiro's life, which I'm assuming is going to kind of be the point here. We see Kai, who's working as like a construction worker, I think. But he's letting this little elementary schooler pass. But he's got like a cold, which is not quite on the same level as Hiro is struggling because he only has one working arm. But whatever. It all kind of sets up the idea that that Fushi's perfect world doesn't really exist. He then comes home, and we see Echo and March doing something. Yes, that's it. Breathe in through your nose, and now, hold your breath. And we see they're trying to, like, pick up, like, a pea with chopsticks. Echo is, like, ready to fucking fight, though. Like, the teacher has to hold Echo's arm back. That's real funny. But then they succeed, and the teacher cheers, you did it! And we see, March and Echo are kind of super happy, and all of a sudden Fushi feels this throb, and he runs out the room, out of breath, which is weird, because that should be the thing that, like, pushes him, or that makes him happier to have brought them to the present, because now, March and Echo are kind of acclimating in a way that Hiro and Kai kind of aren't. Unless the point of those earlier scenes is that Hiro and Kai are, but they're not, like, perfect, Like, Hiro is working, but he's injured. But, like, he's still managing he is injured, but he's still working. And, Kai has this cold or whatever, and his hand looks kind of beat up, but he is, functioning as a member of society. The girls are struggling, but they succeed. Maybe that's the point. I'm not sure. Anyway, we then cut to he runs somewhere away, and he like keels over, thinking, "What is this feeling? It hurts my chest." They were smiling. They looked happy. Isn't that a good thing? So why does my chest hurt like this? March couldn't even write. She couldn't use chopsticks. Is she, one day, going to end up like those kids at school? Does he see that as a good thing or a bad thing? Because clearly, if she continues to live in this world, yeah. But I don't know what Fushi... I don't know how Fushi views school, is the thing. He then sees some elementary schoolers talking, "Bye-bye, see you tomorrow." And he has this image of March with them. "Bye-bye, Fushi." Oh, and it's the vision of her leaving him. That's the important thing, is the bye-bye. Because if they grow up, maybe they'll move on. I think that's what's going on here. And he has another image of March looking like a middle school student, maybe. And again, "Bye-bye, Fushi." Her as a high schooler, or maybe like office worker or something. "Bye-bye, Fushi." And her with like a boyfriend. "Bye-bye, Fushi." A pregnant March with a child. "Bye-bye, Fushi." Fushi with like her... so we see like an old lady March on the next panel. I'm not quite sure what this March is supposed to be. Like a young grandmother. "Bye-bye, Fushi." "Bye-bye, Fushi." And we see everyone else. "Bye-bye, Fushi." "See ya." "Goodbye." "Bye-bye." And Fushi just curls up into a ball. No. So yeah, now I've worked out what his thoughts were there. Is that as I said there like I can see my screen. Back on page 7 with Hiro and Kai, is that he can see that they're getting better. That as they adapt to the world, they could leave him. You know, that's what Hiro and Gugu have kind of accidentally taught him, is that people grow up, and what Fushi needs to do at some point is learn how to live with that. While also dealing with, the knocker drama in the background. But he needs to learn to live with the fact that people grow up. Going back to that scene with Tonari months ago, I forget when exactly it is, where Tonari gets onto him about bringing her back as a child. And like, "Oh, are you just going to keep bringing us back over and over again?" Like, that's not something she wants. And that's a concept Fushi, I think, never considered. But now he's kind of considering that, in a way, that, these people have their own lives. And they will have those lives without him, right? My brain is kind of going back to post-Jananda, or after Pyoran dies, when Fushi kind of, to save himself from the pain of losing his friends, specifically to death, to a more old-worldy kind of fate, just sort of seals himself off, right? And here he's done the exact opposite thing. He's invited them in and, opened his heart like that, and even if they're not dying, they're still leaving. And I think Fushi never found a healthy way to deal with people leaving. Going back to post-Pyoran, when he lived alone on an island for 50 years because he couldn't handle the idea of being near people, he never quite found a healthy solution. And I imagine that's what this plotline is leading to. He will find some healthy solution, acknowledge that people have to die at some point. That was kind of the initial lesson of the early days of the series, and then Fushi learned resurrection, and he stopped having to worry about that, and he thought that would be this big path to paradise. Or not paradise, but like a paradise on Earth. But the thing is that people still grow up. They still move on. They still live their lives without you. And Fushi has to accept that at some point. And right now, he is not. The fact that the final line of this chapter is no is telling. He has not come to a good answer yet. He has some work to do. But yeah, this chapter is a lot of fun. Or fun is a bit of a strange word for it. It's a lot of really good, meaty character drama that I want to see explore as Fushi has to kind of come to grips with the fact that people will leave him. That's a necessary part of life, and Fushi is just has maybe never been equipped to deal with that fact. So, I imagine things are only going to get worse before they get better, but I'm excited to see all this play out. So I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, do whatever makes it happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!